Just turn my
headphones up.
Just turn the headphones up.
Turn the headphones up.
No, I'm asking you if you did. I was talking way out here, and I was like, holy shit, I can already hear it.
Yeah, I don't know. Looks like I got a good signal on it. How do you feel about it? Better? Worse? Your headphones knob's right there, PowerRes. Episode 7. It is the 25th of April, 2020. It's Sam and I with our special guest, my wonderful wife, which we haven't made up a name for yet. Max was being lazy, and AC is in New Jersey saving the planet from the invisible coronavirus. Yeah, as we were getting warmed up there, Sam was saying that the waste of my time thing that is apparently Trump said something about it's a waste of his time to do these press conferences anymore. There she is. So what I was saying is I do think it's kind of a waste of his time because he's going to say what he's going to say, and if all it's going to be is them picking apart everything he says, factual or not factual, it's it doesn't do any good for the greater. There's no greater good in it. He's not obviously saying anything of value to our opinion of it. And I don't know. It seems to me like all it is grief for him, and it doesn't get anything across. Most of that's his own fault. To be fair, if he was capable of getting up there and saying, "Hey guys, here's what's going on," cool, and not finishing it with something stupid about, there's a bit taller chair if you want. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know. I don't.
I mean, it's one thing if he was getting up there and putting off actually reading by the script, because I mean you can tell he's reading from a script,
right?
So I mean he has talking points, but you can tell when he's going off of those. I mean you can literally see him looking down, reading the pieces of paper. You know, those are good. Hopefully he sticks to those. It's when he goes off topic, and it's been noted like that's when he begins to fail, when he tries to start spitballing.
Right.
Like you can kind of see the wheels like turning the other day when the latest shit hit it. He was just kind of thinking, and then he tried to spin it off as something else.
But see, what?
Right up in the face.
You just pointed at your mustache. You know that, right?
Yeah, like my rule is if it doesn't touch the mustache, you're not going to hear me.
I don't have a mustache.
No, you don't. But anyway, what was the question?
I didn't have a question. I was going to comment that even Howdy Doody said the right things when he was on script. I mean,
right.
Howdy Doody.
I don't know. My point is
that J-Dub?
No, like the dummy.
Like actual howdy doody. Point being, read the script. You don't say anything stupid unless you're howdy doody and you're supposed to say something stupid.
Yeah, but since he was a dummy, he was smart.
Oh, I don't have that button active. I can't do the jump shot. But I don't know. I don't disagree that his press conferences are full of stupid, but I don't know. I guess to me they're not conveying any information that's apparently of any value, because all we do is pick apart the stupid thing he says instead of anything he might have said of value. So is he wrong in saying it's a waste of time? It shouldn't be a waste of time. It should be more valuable. He should be capable of putting out valuable information to the public. But if he's not capable of it...
He is. He's just not the
this
right
is his chance
type
to
of information
to shine.
for the president. He can put out lots of good information about, like, I don't know, business.
I mean, there's been articles out that, like, this is going to make or break a lot of leaders. Like, I was reading about the leader of New Zealand right now. Her approval rating, 80%. That's unheard of.
Did she close the borders? Is there any incoming, outgoing in New Zealand right now?
She had pretty strict regulations, I believe.
Now, I don't know about the general culture of New Zealand, but
I mean,
when
they're
Trump tries
isolated
to
island.
A different accent.
I'm just saying when Trump tries to do anything,
they say they're less nasally.
Exactly. I mean, instead of might, it's might.
Mate,
like, we don't sound like the Aussies.
We're Kiwis.
Yeah, we're Kiwis.
I was saying, I think there's a higher level of scrutiny that goes on in the U.S. politics culture that I'm guessing. I don't know, obviously, because I haven't had a lot of Kiwi time. So, I think you could get away with it more. Because, they were talking about Germany doing so much better with this than the U.S. is. But Germany as a culture is better at taking instruction from their leadership, regardless of who their leader is. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, I guess, if we're going to go historical on it. But I'm just saying, like, Germany is more, the government says lockdowns, they lock down. There's not I can make an exception because I'm essential, that a lot of people here are doing.
I mean, East German maybe, but I mean, that was 30 years ago.
I'm talking about right now with their response to the coronavirus. They're talking about how they as a populace were much more compliant with anything that the local or...
And I would argue that they as a whole have a more... wanting to help like the rest of the populace.
They are more unified as a culture.
New Zealand has kids back in school. I was trying to figure... I don't know anything about what New Zealand did or didn't do, so I was trying to fact check a little bit to see if they did close the borders. Just for info.
Did it say anything about that other than the kids being back in school?
It says that with the dreamy prospect of near normalcy, this is the Washington Times, by the way, the virus... with near normalcy and the virus defeated, crowds gathering in pubs, and every child back in school, it's hard to imagine much more for the United States. They are back in school, and their pubs are open.
Right.
What am I doing wrong now?
You just got to get on it.
Get up on it. I'm really loud.
So.
It's Australia and New Zealand. They were working in conjunction with each other, so I'm guessing their borders were open to each other, just not...
Well, you got to think, too, like Australia, which is...
Their travel bans are on China, Hong Kong, and Singapore. But then again, they're really close to them.
That's true.
And then,
New Zealand?
No, Australia and the Far East, they have very tight connections via Japan and like all the little island chains through there mostly. But I mean, culturally speaking, they have a
spatially
big
they're still pretty far away.
I just mean
New Zealand, they pretty much got Australia and...
Yeah.
I mean, outside of that, I'd say at least 5,000 miles.
I was talking more about
cultural
of
goods,
population, and values and all that jazz.
Right.
Because they're less like United States people in Australia than they are more like the far East. Not China, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not following. I'm sorry.
Where
excuse me.
If you were to guess where some of the best places to go for medical treatment in the World War, where would you guess?
America.
Japan.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I'd actually...
They're forward-leaning on healthcare and health prospects.
So I'd like...
sense.
This is extremely fascinating to me, concept or conversation-wise and stuff we've talked about previously on the podcast, is the Japanese medical system as compared to our Western version. And because
pay to play, that's really all it is.
And so it's...
They just have to make it affordable enough for people to play.
And by...
It is a must, and in the sense that it was... it's dictated a lot of times to make things more prevalent through pricing of procedure and stuff like that, rather than passing it off to the customer. So like they'll put a price cap on certain types of MRI machines, and that way even small hospitals, which by the way most of them there are,
right,
even 20-bed hospitals will be able to afford their own MRI.
Right. So the actual equipment is
made
price cap?
Yeah.
Is it price capped or is it
yes, that's
subsidized?
No, it's like price capped. If you are selling to somebody here in our country,
right,
you are not allowed to make it cost more than this for that person. And so they have to push forward on innovation to make things that other people will basically help pay off the dividends,
right,
for all of this like R&D, and we have to make this more efficient. We have to make it smaller. We have to, like.
Now, do they run into? I know you mentioned in private conversation that they run into having issues with getting specialists because the specialists don't get paid as well as specialists do here.
No, that's completely different. So that's in the UK.
Yeah, you want that pointing straight at your face.
Listen,
it's
you
okay.
are at an upward angle. Yeah, Steve, I ain't doing it that way.
Sam. His name's Sam.
I said Steve the dog.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Check.
Anyway.
But no, my question is, okay, so I lost my brain. So right, so the other question would be, do they have issues with trying to push more people through the system and the care goes down, or the care still?
All right, so everything that you like about free market,
Mm-hmm.
what does that do to the product or goods that you have available to you? Does it push down the quality, or does it?
It usually raises quality.
So
and
if you are
affordability.
paying for your procedures, period, end of story. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as subsidies for medical care.
Right.
If you want a flu shot, you go to your local doctor's office and you say, please, I would like to purchase one flu shot.
Right, and there's enough doctor's offices that it's an issue if you don't do a good job, put an affordable price out.
The way that they subdivide their neighborhoods, you kind of have to have one like every, I don't know, 10,000 people? Like most hospitals in Japan are 20 beds or less.
Right.
Hospitals. So like a clinic, what we would call a clinic,
Is what they
has
call a
hospital beds.
Right.
Where people can stay overnight. And so those are exam rooms also, and you're not going to be at max capacity all the time. And you've got quick stay exam rooms also, so you've got like a triage. But it is seriously like the way that mission hospitals used to be way back in the day, where you had one in every town, every small town.
Right.
Right? And it served the population. Well, it's just like kindergarten ratio for classroom size to high school, right? You're going to have one for every 15 kids in kindergarten versus one for every 35 in high school teacher ratio,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right. So just imagine that, but
Now is it
hospitals.
is it natural business that puts that many hospitals in because that's where the money is as far as
Yeah, people want to go to small the diversity of that is mainly because that's what people want to attend. And so if you are paying with your own money and you get to choose where you go, that is going to be how that breaks down. They don't want to go to a hospital that's far away from their home.
Right.
And so it ends up,
I love that.
By happenstance, it ends up that way. But if you have something more severe than like your random like outpatient, just anything, right? If you have something more severe that you would have to be like be in an ICU, there are huge mega hospitals too.
Right. So it's like
they have the entire gamut. And they even have way more concierge doctors there.
For lack of a better word, it's like a Walmart. You have your neighborhood Walmart, and then they have their super distribution center that it's sort of a bad example, but I'm trying to think of something in a non-medical concept.
Like Taco Bell now can deliver to your door, or you can pay for somebody else to third party have Taco Bell driven to your door, or you can go to Taco Bell and drive through the drive-thru, or you can call in and have your order ready and go in and sit down. You know how like you can just have Taco Bell in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
You can have it in a gas station with a Pizza Hut and a KFC.
Right. Thank you, Pepsi.
But my point is that it's all Taco Bell, right?
That's how. Yeah.
That is how ubiquitous medical facilities are, and so by having that as only free market, that is what the dictum is basically. And then from the top end, saying there is a price cap on procedures, there's a price cap on visits, there are price caps on all these things.
Right.
But it is not a price cap meant to prevent people from making money.
It's to make sure the service and care is there.
Yeah, it's to ensure that it stays competitive.
All right, so the only question that I have now that I wouldn't have had in previous conversations we had about this, does any of their ability hinge off the fact of other countries' medical advances being made available to them without them doing it themselves? For example, being...
I don't know. What do you mean?
Maybe...
They tend to be innovators on like the technological side.
Right, because it's Japan.
Well, because they have a lot of technological manufacturers there,
Right.
and if that you are running something like Toshiba or whatever, and you also make monitors for, heart lung monitors, right?
Right. Well, because one of the guys I listen to podcasts on, he's talking about how the U.S. medical system, as messed up as it is or whatever, is
It's incentivized for the opposite side rather than the consumer.
right. But what he's saying is that it's the way this system works gets the pharmaceuticals and the tech companies that do medical supplies and stuff to innovate better because there's more money in it.
I disagree.
And then that goes across the world and other countries that don't have the system.
I disagree.
I don't know. That's the question I was trying to get at, is that is part of Japan's ability to do this based on there's other countries' technological advances that are being sold to them that then they go out and disseminate through their system. I don't know.
Probably, but I'd say there's a fair amount of the opposite. Is
Right.
that they are able to make it more cost effective for their countrymen, if you will, based on government edicts to Toshiba to say, if you are selling to a manufacturer who is making CT machines for this specific monitor or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
This is all in hypothetical. You realize that, right?
That's what this whole show is.
Okay. Like, let's say that they're saying you're selling it to this company who makes your CT machine, and that person is going to be the end consumer, a foreigner. Okay, you are allowed to charge what you need.
Okay, so
your bottom line is your bottom line.
Okay, so their export, they have play in their export ability.
Not necessarily export, but the pricing.
Right. That's what I'm
They're
saying.
subsidizing their own sales with
Export.
offsetting it by selling to
Right.
But because of the fact that they've got like just light years ahead of everybody else's technology, the innovation is worth the price bump.
Right.
And then on top of that, you get these price bumps where incoming, like into a country, for say, maybe here,
Right.
where you're not cooperating with the right drug manufacturer conglomerate who also has a CT manufacturer from.
Right.
Yeah, I disagree that it makes it more affordable because of things like that. They have so many power players talking for them
Right.
on the Washington side of it that they kind of get away with murder.
I'm
Plus,
agreed.
you know they have a 10-year patent hold on any innovative drug?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't know that specifically, but I knew there was
So for
patent
the
hold
first
stuff.
10 years of
Right.
any cancer drug that miraculously gets made by all this poured in government funding to a for-profit business,
I
by
take
the
issue
way.
with that, yeah.
Yeah, but like let's say that they come up with the best effing cancer drug ever, and it also gives head.
Yeah.
So that you can't afford it for 10 more years.
Right. Like
Your
if-
insurance company says, "Fuck that." Do you realize it's $6,000 a pill?
Right. There's an A or B there that doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, if you're going to hold a patent to it and you're the only one that's allowed to manufacture it, you don't get government money to help you develop it.
No, not that. You should make it fucking affordable. Sure, I'm okay with them pouring in money to innovation as long as there's a payoff. But it doesn't hit the standard person until 30 years later.
Right.
That's fucked
And I don't,
up.
right. And I don't know how to.
Not for the billions that we pour into it.
Right.
That's what I mean. It does not make it more affordable or more like efficacious. It doesn't make it faster. It doesn't make it more competitive. There are like 3 or 4 big guys for a reason. They've cornered that market.
Right.
They've cornered the market and they've already got their little claws in it. And there's nothing that's going to make us step backwards on it because they've bought out the competitors, basically.
Yeah, and they do it all the time, and they'll do it. They do it in tech and other industries as well. But absolutely, yeah. I don't know what. I've always like I've forgotten about it in previous episodes when we talk medical stuff, but
Can't do it.
I do recall the Japanese system you talked about prior, as far as making more sense to me. Part of me doesn't like the idea of price fixing, but as far as a comparable of a better than current, I like the idea of the small office that's easy and that it's your neighbor. You're just checking in. You're like, hey man, My knee's kind of being weird. And
Not only that, but I think part of the reason why they can get away with having such small utility space is that so much of their primary care relationship happens in a person's home.
Yeah.
I mean, concierge doctoring is just like part of it.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I think it's super cool.
Well,
That's how you give the best care.
Right.
Well, not just that, but I mean, think about it. What is the smartest way to prevent disease spread?
Right. You don't have to spend all the time sanitizing every room after every single kid comes in and farts and
Prevention. It's worth
Yeah.
an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of
gold.
yeah, whatever. Anyway, the point is that if you are not having that sick person piled into a car with every person that they live with, making that space and distance and all that jazz that much smaller, then, you're not having both mom and dad get sick. And
Right, or
then
even
you're
sitting
not
in the waiting
having
room and
them go
whatever
out
it
and
is, right.
expose people at their work. And the car ride is like the very first step in that tumble of my germs everywhere, all over town.
Right.
I mean, think about it. You stop at the Walgreens on the way home to pick up your prescription, and and the kids always get McDonald's for sick days. So everybody at McDonald's is sick now.
Is there do they have the same pharmacy system as we do?
I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think that they have anything to do with insurance. Period.
I mean, I think a lot of America's issues goes back to kind of like not necessarily the lack of preventative care, but somewhat the lack of access to it and the almost motivation of the general public, possibly.
Or the
Probably more
ubiquity
to
of the
their lack of
knowledge.
having insurance, but just a lot of people just don't go to the doctor
Right.
until it is.
right. I've had to make it a point. I've had to, it's
We have a pretty
Last to him.
pervasive distrust of the medical profession in this country.
yeah.
I mean, it's just true.
You're right.
So, I mean, of course you're not going to go to somebody when you're at your most vulnerable if you don't trust them.
No, it's not much like lack of trust. I think a lot of people
Why do you
just
think
don't go for
so many-
yearly checkups to where doctors could find things, and it's we're not finding issues until
I
they
agree
are.
completely, but what I'm saying is part of that mindset that plays into not wanting to go to the doctor, not wanting to go for a checkup, not wanting to go for anything really, and get preventative care and get, monitoring on things that might be developing and all of that. I think that all is being played into by A, I somewhat mistrust this person, right? B, I somewhat think them useless. And C, I somewhat think it is ridiculous that this costs so much
Right.
for something that should be freely available to
Right,
me,
'cause
which
you-
is, preventing and maintaining my own health.
Right. That's one thing I'm trying to look up is there are actually a lot of preventative things that are covered under your insurance. It's just hard to find in the fine print as to what's actually covered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't
And
want
that
you
can
taking
change if you
advantage of
actually ask for it.
that. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well,
Yeah, because
that's
why
more
would they want to
diagnostic. Then that's
offer
not actually
you-
like free anymore. But it's one thing if they suggest like, hey, you're around this age and blah, 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 we recommend getting this screening done,
Right, and the
It's
doctor's
covered
trying to
under
figure out-
preventative,
The insurance companies are actually starting to figure that out. And, it's a small shift, but a lot of insurance companies are actually realizing that their own bottom line is enhanced by preventative care. So,
it literally
I
will
feel
save
like-
them money.
yeah, I feel like there are a lot of insurance companies that are finding it to their own benefit and, their consumers. And that ups their points, obviously, in their consumer space. But what I'm saying is I don't think that it's lack of the insurance company trying to harp on it, because I know that our insurance company, the boys' insurance company, my parents' insurance company, we get mailers constantly saying, have you ever, had your A1C tested? Have you gone to your doctor for your yearly checkup? Don't forget, 2 times a year you need to see the dentist. How often do we get those mailers? Twice a week?
Well, we get them from dentists we haven't used in 15 years.
Yeah,
too.
that's my point, is that we get all kinds of reminders that I don't think that it's that. I think it's more so the lack of, all right, I know that smoking is bad for me, reasonably and cognitively, but there's a dissonance in the fact that I still smoke. People have that just over everything. We are allowed to have cognitive dissonance in like those small doses, like white lies, basically, but it's pervasive. It really is. And I think it has more to do with our attitude towards what the medical profession can do for us and what we owe to it, because doctors are kind of a sassy bunch. They like to be like father-like and patronizing, and that is the view of a doctor, right? It's like, going home to mom and her saying, have you been eating right?
Right. Put on a sweater.
Yeah, that is the type of thing that causes you to want to hide from somebody, right? Well, no wonder. But, I mean, it's just because I feel like the medical profession has done themselves a disservice by lording themselves over the general public. I feel like they've done themselves a disservice by not maintaining that, patient connection. Their bedside manner, I think, has fallen off. But I do believe it's coming back quite a bit. The more people that are like, nurse practitioners, the more people that have had to do patient care prior to their first office visit, I feel like those people tend to start out with better bedside manner. But I don't know. I think a lot of it is just feeling as though you're allowed to ask dumb questions, because education is the only way you can get somebody to be preventatively.
Well, it's a trusting that they are acting in my best interest, and it's not well, we can run this test and then I get the insurance company kicks me back X, Y, or Z.
Well, that, and you have to pay for all of these different tests, and then they prescribe that medicine that's by the brand name, and they give you a few starter packs because it's a little expensive, but the next time it comes up on your insurance,
right,
it's not just a little expensive, it's not covered. That's what I'm saying, is that we have that general atmosphere of not liking the doctor's office because of all these hoops and
it's the system as a whole that is
maddening.
It's not maddening. It's just broken down. It broken down the relationship that's supposed to be there. The relationship that's supposed to be there is, I trust you.
Yeah, and it's
to know things that I don't know about how a body works and why my body's doing things that it's doing and how to help me correct it so that I can live long and healthy.
And give me only one answer instead of 400 that I get on Google.
Right, and instead of that, between media influence and other experiences with doctors in the past, I can't help myself but go, I don't know if this is. I don't know if you're telling me
the quote truth or the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The truth that is actually happening, or if this is some, I got that kickback from that sweet salesman, and I need to prescribe more of whatever this medicine is.
Yeah. Don't eat any gluten either.
Right.
Yeah.
I think part of it, it's come to the light a lot more recently in the past, 6 months of the year with surprise billing. You're actually seeing some legislation, coming down in Congress of actual, representatives that are getting behind it because their constituents are running into it more often, and it has been in the press, and it's kind of come to the forefront.
What is surprise billing? I obviously
as far as like surprise medical billing, if somebody goes in for this or that, and then they find out that
part of it wasn't covered.
Yeah, some of it's not covered.
Or the doctor ordered a test that he didn't code right, and so it's not considered part of your diagnosis to need that test.
Right.
And usually seem like the crazy stories, like somebody going in for a splinter and coming out with a $30,000 thing because
the doctor wanted to make extra
they ran
money
a panel to make sure that you didn't have rabies and tetanus, and just started like running blood panels.
Yeah, but their insurance company says that, for your standard splinter removal, we've noticed that these procedures are necessary, and so they write everything else out of the cost of that standard procedure, and that is considered a billing code.
Right.
That is considered your standard whatever is considered a billing code.
Right.
And if it does not include these things under, medical necessary or, you know what I'm saying? Then they don't pay for it.
Right.
And you get what they call like balance billing, to where your insurance company says, well, for this and this and this is what we have a contract in place saying that for this and this procedure, we will only pay this and this amount.
Right.
And that is
so
exactly
if they pay that amount, the rest of the amount, that bill goes to you.
Right.
You get the rest
that goes
of the
back
balance.
to what AC was saying a couple weeks ago.
That's the exact
about
same thing as like, when we had those two categories when we were choosing our insurance.
Mm-hmm.
What category you're in is based on that number that he just was talking about. We pay more on the front end to not have to pay more on the back end.
Right.
It's the same reason, though, because when you've got a PPO...
Well, no, like what I'm talking about is a totally different thing.
Yeah, but we pay as consumers, right? More after the doctor's visit, but on the front
You're talking
end,
about premiums versus deductibles.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
That number right there, those premiums versus deductibles are determined by what you're talking about. How much
No,
they
no,
can...
I'm talking about totally surprise. I'm talking about contracts that are in place between
the hospital. I mean, yeah, I get
no,
your
no.
surprise
How much
afterwards.
like the insurance
Yes.
company and the hospital themselves?
I think we're saying the same thing.
No, you're talking about premiums and deductibles from the consumer side. I'm talking about in addition to your deductible that you're paying.
Afterwards, if you get some test that wasn't
Right, I'm saying your deductible.
Yes, those are the
I'm talking about a
payments.
balanced billing of. Hey, even if you haven't like met that, I'm talking about a balanced billing of the company saying you went in for a $10,000 operation. Your insurance company says, well, for that operation,
We're only going to pay $7,000.
yeah, we're only paying $7,000.
Yeah, that $3,000 that's passed on to you. If you are in category A on insurance, you don't pay that $3,000 because the insurance company is willing to pay all 10. But if you're in category 2 on insurance, you have to pay that $3,000 on the back end because
you're paying less of a premium.
Yeah, you're in that second category where their bargaining chip is, I'm paying $7,000 for this procedure.
Are you referencing like a $0 deductible?
It depends.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like if you have that great $0 deductible, zero after balance insurance that you pay a gajillion dollars a month for, right? That's the people that their insurance company comes back and says, we don't have that workout deal where I only pay $7,000. That's the company that comes back and says, I'll pay all $10,000.
Right, but
That's what
it's
I meant,
right because you're paying right. It's they make it the royal they both.
I'm
both,
just saying that either way it gets passed to the
right.
consumer.
We the consumer have to sit on this little I don't even know what to call it.
Teeter-totter?
Right, and we don't know. I mean, these are professional insurance people. These are professional doctors' offices and all the different stuff that they do, and they play all these games behind the scenes. And I get a 75-page. Here's how this shit works.
But they
Explanation of benefits.
have literally gone on detail by detail to decide, what this mitigation is going to do behind the scenes, right? And we have no fucking clue what the hell all this fine print is, right? So
And
why would we read it?
Right, and they do it on purpose, I think. I think they do
yeah.
it absolutely on purpose. They make it as complicated as possible.
End user agreements, exactly.
Right.
One of it was for a company I used to work for, and I saw a TV show that was talking about it where this woman, she was actually a nurse. I mean, she was in the healthcare field and knew of these issues, and her appendix burst, I believe.
Oh, God.
And she knew that
in whatever versus out of.
Well, no, she knew that ambulances were really expensive. So I think either she drove herself or had a friend drive her. She knew that the closest hospital that she lived to was not in network, so she went to the hospital that was in network.
And she drove herself there, all to save money. Did she hurt herself by doing this?
No. Ended up the surgeon that took her appendix out was not in network.
Oh no.
She went through
She
all
went through all
that
that trouble, and
literally
she still got
almost risked her life going to a hospital that's
I wouldn't
further
say
away.
almost. I would say
just
did.
to try to go
Yeah.
in network, just to do right by her quote unquote insurance
because
agents.
she bothered reading
to
the
be
fine print and
in-network.
following the rules. Oh my
Right.
God.
And then to come find out that one doctor and company I used to work for has that same thing, and we used to run into it a lot. They're like, well, why am I getting
That's
a bill
the preferred
from
provider versus the preferred provider. It's a PPO. Yeah, versus a PP. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So the question to me, all right, in the how to change the world part of this conversation, the question to me is how do
just want to touch
Gotta
on it for a
let it
second. That's one of
burn.
like they just want to shit down on socialist medicine. Where's your choice? Where's your choice? And it's like,
Where is
what
our
the fuck
choice?
kind of choice do you have now with the insurance companies that we have set up?
Yeah, when
you
most
literally
people
don't
are-
have a choice when you have to go to particular doctors or you're fucked.
Yeah, we're already railroaded into no choice.
right? And that's
But
what I'm
it's a different category of no choice.
That's
Each
the big-
person has a different no choice.
right. But that's the big question I'm trying to ask here is it without legislation staying inside the system that we have? Is it possible
To do what?
to have just a fucking doctor's office that I can go to and I can pay $20 to get my elbow looked at because my elbow's bothering me?
Well, I mean, I'd say that there's probably a veterinarian that is also a internist somewhere in Montana that does that.
I would say, like, would it be? Yes. Okay. So yes, it's possible inside the system. Is it? I mean, it's a yes or no question, for lack of a better word.
I don't know.
I mean, from an outside perspective, I would like to think that we've done well to push a lot more people into the healthcare field, knowing that there's going to be a greater need for it.
Yes.
With our baby boomers getting older, we have been trying
the
increase
coronavirus is
the
gonna kick a
number
bunch of them off forward,
nurses and nurse practitioners.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the provider side of it that are going into it, but I think that if you still have the disconnect from the average person, from their want and or ability to go to a facility to get regular, and I mean maintained regular contact with a medical professional, then what good does it do to have more of them?
So so if we turn this podcast into a whole thing about advocacy for a thing, and we say, okay, we want to teach the public about their options. One of the ones that I've read about was getting catastrophic insurance only. Just catastrophic insurance only, and then you go and you pay out of pocket for your annual visit.
Are you talking about like death insurance?
Catastrophic? No, catastrophic meaning
your premiums are super low.
Your premiums are super low, but
okay, yeah.
You're going to be, it's got to be like $100,000 before that your insurance even kicks in.
Okay, so like that between like A level to like F as far as the grading scale, right? Like in school,
right?
We're talking F level coverage.
Well, no, we're talking
D. Sorry, passing, but
D
not
minus.
Yeah, a D minus, passing, but definitely like just barely.
We're talking about you develop a cancer, you develop something major that we're talking.
We're calling that a D minus.
Right,
Check.
millions of dollars over a lifetime of care or whatever, but you're only paying $20 a month, and that's
your actual employer is paying for it or something.
Right, but that's all it's good for is major. Mm-hmm. I mean, you get hit by a train crossing the tracks in your car, and you are fucked, and you're in a coma for 2 months, and they're reconstructing everything on you. That's the only time that insurance kicks in, when it's top level.
Yeah, gotcha.
So essentially, take insurance out of what should be your day-to-day doctor experience, so that you can, if you are going to get into some sort of contract or
I would say
deal,
don't
it'd be
even
with a
bother
doctor's
at that
office.
Point, because if you do get into this catastrophic accident, right?
Bankruptcy.
Well, A, yeah, but B, you become this thing called an indigent person. You can't hold a job.
Right.
If you don't have insurance, right, even catastrophic, A, you'll get picked up by that safety net.
Right.
That's why a lot of hospitals struggle, is they're literally
because
writing
of their
off
indigencies. Yeah.
millions of dollars.
That's what I was telling you the other day when I said I don't doubt that number that they said they have lost is actual. I'm talking about from indigency care.
All right, the people listening don't know our backstory.
Well, you
on this.
say it then, because your number was the quote, not mine. You said something about billions.
Hospitals are claiming billions of dollars in losses since the shutdowns and coronavirus started and whatever.
And his
my question was whether are they counting billions of dollars in losses as far as
lost profit?
We had scheduled X, Y, and Z of these quote non-essential surgeries and stuff, and I mean even like knee replacements, which
yes.
Stuff
even
like that.
Abortions, actually.
Right. All those things that were on the schedule.
I mean, that's super time sensitive. I'm just saying. But anyway.
Yeah. All those things that were on the schedule that they didn't get to do, are they counting those as part of those billions? And
I said I disagreed, that I didn't think that was what it was. I thought that it was possibly from actual losses from indigency. Or, having to invest in extra PPE, or, because they're still buying these things.
Right.
And, just because there's a shortage doesn't mean that, like, donations is making up for it. It's that people are still manufacturing it and getting to charge premiums for it. And unless you've got a good negotiator for your hospital network, you don't think that hospitals are also getting those premiums?
I mean, I think a lot of elective surgeries got postponed.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of those are high-dollar operations. But I think at the same time, they pretty much told everybody else, unless it's something serious, don't go to the doctor, don't go to the
and
ER.
all those things they used to get to bill for.
You go to the doctor. I mean, they're like, okay, well, let me send you to the hospital to get this test. I mean, and it would kind of,
Right. I'm saying
not for all cases, but it could then progress from there to where you're passing along another referral, like, hey, go see an ophthalmologist, go see a cardiovascular surgeon, go see an orthopedist.
Well, what I'm saying
That
is
was my
like
point.
your difference between lost profits versus I'm talking about more of like the bottom line, I suppose.
Actual losses being you spent the money to do the thing,
Yeah.
and you didn't get reimbursed for it or paid.
Not just that, but you're paying your employees, right? And sure, you're not making this other income at the same time, but you're still employing and
they're
having
laying
on the
people off left
schedule
and right,
at
but-
least 75% of your staff. And your actual business has gone down,
Right.
like, I don't know, 75% also. So you're operating on 25% of your money and 75% of your expenses. And then you add on that all these extras that you're having to spend money on. And then you add on that all that stuff you're having to write off. I don't doubt that those three categories alone.
Right, I agree. No, I agree with that. My point was that I think that was
But
part of
future
their,
gains, as in like the cost of, what you're going to receive from a surgery, I think that doesn't even factor into that number, is what I am saying.
Okay, I don't know, because I would think that you take even if it's a room, like it's a room that a surgery was scheduled in and it's not getting used. That's gonna even if you're not counting the income that surgery was supposed to bring in, you're just counting
The loss
fact
of
that
the
that-
lights being on, and
Right.
The staff has to be there because that surgery room has to be there for emergency surgeries or whatever, right? Like, let's say you still have to have a tech and an anesthesiologist on, and you're belaying those profits off on all 6 rooms those people are working, but if only 2 are being used in standard, those other 4 are laying fallow. I'm not counting the profit that you could have made. What I'm saying is you're still keeping those
rooms
lights
still
on.
have costs, right?
Yeah, they still have
Right, I get it.
associated costs.
Yeah.
And that is, I would consider, a loss, right?
Yeah, I mean,
But that's not a lost gain, right?
right. I mean, if you own an apartment complex and you have 5
That
empty
is
units,
still just overhead.
it's a loss.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's
you're
what I'm
losing
saying,
money.
is that if you only got one of those 5 units occupied,
Right.
and you still have to employ the same number of people for your...
Right. I get it.
That's all I meant.
Yeah. I follow. Ooh.
Is that the lean in?
No, we're only 40 minutes in. We got an hour and a half to go.
For schnizzles?
I mean, that's
Are
our
we
average.
going to do a half a podcast this time? I think that's probably... I've got to go let the cat in.
I don't know. We'll do what we do. I don't know. What else you got, Sam? Outside of healthcare. You want to talk about the idiot orange guy? And pretend like AC's here for it?
What did you call him earlier? Cheeto? Cheese Puff. No, I don't remember.
Cheeto face.
There you go.
Our commander in Cheeto face.
Whee.
Just the whole latest thing just kind of
I mean,
hit the kind of tipping point.
I don't.
And his whole I don't know if you saw the thing of him actually. It was him in the Oval Office when they were asking him about it.
Right. He was talking about he was kind of insinuating he was trolling a little bit.
Yeah. Motherfucker tried to say he was being sarcastic and trying to troll some, fake news media.
Controller. Yeah. I heard that part.
If anybody out there sees this, watch the video of him actually talking about it.
Right,
Where
so-
he's literally turning to his doctors, asking about this, what looks to me inquisitively, thinking that he might think this shit would actually work. Injecting.
All right. So devil's advocate. All right. So Commander in Cheeto essentially said, "Let's see if we can figure out how to swallow some
Commander
UV light
Cheeto face, that's what.
and disinfectant, and see if that can kill this thing from the inside out or whatever." So devil's advocate, and I
don't fault him for thinking it.
I usually don't say it
that's a
out
random
loud.
thought. Yeah,
but
out loud at a fucking national news
how many
conference.
like realistically, how many like
for a pandemic.
how many
That's not the time to be like
Yeah, you don't
thinking out loud.
spitball on that
how many medical breakthroughs have happened on accident? Like major medical
by
breakthroughs.
Yeah.
physicians, by, I don't know, medical researchers? Sure.
Yes, I'm not going
Because
to disagree with you. on that.
you have to have a logical leap, right? Not just a leap.
I'm just saying.
How many times have you stumbled across the cure for cancer or adamantium in the backyard? That's my point.
I mean, I've had a few thoughts on it, but I didn't have anybody to talk to.
It's not his purview. He is not a specialist for.
I mean, I agree with that, but I mean, I agree with
really.
both. I agree with Sam as far as it's.
I don't know if the media's
spitballing.
Going to quote unquote hype it up, but I have a feeling that we're going to have stories of people. I mean, there's already been stories of poison control hotlines in multiple states that are getting inundated by calls that are people literally asking if they can ingest.
At least they've got the
Said
presence of
disinfectants.
mind to be dubious about it, which is what I wonder. Like,
but these people would have never even had this thought in their head had they not heard someone saying this.
But that's my point, is that
this is dangerous.
He is so dumb that he spitballs out loud, and that is just.
That's what I'm saying. This is dangerous.
He is so far beyond the common sense realm that I wonder, honestly, if he is just trying to be fantastical. Like, if this is some sort of second level reality show.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm not joking.
I get it.
I mean, if he wants to stick to script, I would love that. I would love that he comes to a mic every day and lets people know what's going on. Hey, this is what we figured out. We're getting PPEs here. Here's the numbers here. This is what we're doing. That's what a president and leader should be doing.
Okay.
I don't disagree. I don't think it's a waste of his time whatsoever. This is what he should be spending his fucking time on. He's the president of the United States.
Yeah, but he should be
That is not the time to fucking walk away and be like, well, I've got this, coronavirus panel going.
All right, but again, devil's advocate.
He should be facilitating
to his mindset, no matter what he does.
Can come up with good leaps, though,
no matter what he does, no matter how he says it, no matter what happens, it's always whatever can be picked apart is picked apart. And so he plays the game with it, and he wants. Okay, so to give him the benefit of the 4D chess game bullshit, which I don't buy. I don't think that's truly how he is, but at least in the sense that I know these particular media groups are going to run with whatever I do, so I'm going to see how stupid they are. Because it doesn't matter. They're going to figure it out. They're going to find the spot.
Is
and
it
they're going to pick it
impossible
apart.
to give them nothing to pick apart?
No, it's not.
For him?
It's not impossible. It's not impossible at all, because he put the China travel ban down, what was it, mid-February, and got beaten to fucking death for it. Biden, on the campaign trail, says, no, I wouldn't do that. It's not that big a fucking deal. Blah, 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 blah. And it comes full circle, and he was right. And there's no, oh, hey, we missed that one. There's no, there's no acceptance of, we beat you up for this thing, and you're actually right doing it, ever.
I disagree.
Honestly, I'm not disagreeing, but I don't remember a whole bunch of hype being about him being xenophobic, that he was closing off. I mean, I'm pretty sure when I heard about it, I'm like, it's a great fucking idea.
Biden said it. Fucking Pelosi said it. Pelosi was in San Francisco.
It sounds to me like the only opinions that you're hearing are the ones that are radicalized, because even I thought that it was a good idea to go ahead and close the borders around that time, and I feel like I'm one of the last people to say that it should or shouldn't be a civil liberties issue versus a human rights issue.
It was 3 or 4 days after he announced the travel ban for China, when Pelosi was in San Francisco talking about, come on down to Chinatown, because there was something going on. I don't know if it was Chinese New Year. I don't remember exactly what it was. And in her press conference, as part of this event that she was a part of, and this was after things were starting to be like, okay, this might be a serious deal. And she was like, she in that press conference was making reference to Trump being ridiculous for banning travel from China at this time. And this was like mid-late February. I can pull it up. There's a bunch of different people that have been talking about the timeline of things. And it's like, okay, she's allowed to get away with it. Nobody's picking her apart for it. But every time he says something, he gets picked apart for it. And then there's no corrections. There's no ever, okay, you were right.
Is it fair that everybody underestimates her intelligence simply because she's a she? I feel like you're throwing a pity party for him because everybody hates on him, but that's the fucking job of the president.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
she's the Speaker of the House.
Okay.
She's not just some she.
I may be misremembering it, but
My point is that I feel like the pervasive and long-term effects of being persecuted as a person are probably a little more on her, right? So she's probably had a couple of extra times where people have picked her apart for everything, including her haircut. But how many people other than Saturday Night Live pick apart Donald Trump for anything other than the stupid-ass bullshit that he says? Honestly.
I'm confused.
What I'm saying is, of course he needs to be picked apart. He's our president.
And so does she. Not because she's a she, because she's the Speaker of the House.
No, what I'm saying is you're over there saying, poor Donald Trump. Even when he gets something right, he doesn't get a pat on the back.
No, my point is that he knows no matter whether he's right or wrong, he's going to get picked apart.
I feel like you're identifying a little too much with his point of view.
So he plays he plays a terrible game, and I'll say it that way. He plays a terrible game at the press because they know they know he knows that they're gonna spin it the wrong way anyway.
How do you know what he knows?
I don't. He probably doesn't know anything. It's
That's my point. Is that why are you thinking it from his perspective in that sense? Like, why not just think of it from a third party perspective, right?
Right.
That maybe whatever he says is going to get picked apart, but maybe whatever any president says is going to get picked apart.
Right.
How often do we go back and pat them on the back? 75 years after they die. That's the job.
I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying. She's not in that job. Yeah, she's up high, but she's not the focus. So, of course, she's not going to get it as intensely, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But don't worry. Everybody gets it on the back end for other things. I mean, you don't have to pat him on the back when he does a good job. He's just supposed to do it. It's his duty. Once he has said he wants to, we have voted him. It's his duty.
I didn't vote for him.
We, the country.
I may be misremembering it, but I thought I remember Pelosi. This could be a totally separate event, but as far as with the whole Chinatown thing, I thought I remember shortly after the coronavirus started happening, their business had died off, and I thought I remember Pelosi going down to Chinatown saying like, "Hey, like they're not infected." Like it was like the xenophobia that was going on.
It was to show camaraderie because there were literally people like walking out of places because an Asian person worked there.
Goes back to my favorite little Chinese delivery joke, but
like, dude, I mean, how many Southern accents have you heard on Vietnamese people around here? Yeah, that's
probably
my point.
The most Southern accent I've ever heard.
That's my point.
Guy.
Is that true-blooded, like redneck country? Listen, Americans who drive big old like men listens to nothing but country music, and he drives a big ass truck, right? Like he's a good old boy. My point is, you don't have to be Asian in that sense,
right?
When you look quote Asian, right? Like that's fucked up.
I think it's ridiculous that anybody.
That's fucked up that normal, rational, sane people get driven into that kind of a frenzy so quickly. And she was showing camaraderie and showing humanity, I think. So I don't think that she was encouraging people in that sense. I think she was trying to make sure that she stayed true to her core values, which are, this is an inclusive place. We don't need to turn our backs on people the minute that something crazy happens. And I think everybody was feeling that until they realized, oh shit, this is serious.
Right.
And it happened all at once, and everybody's realization happened within about 5 days of each other, but some were quicker than others. And I think that's just true.
Right.
I don't think that we should throw her under the bus either, is all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, it's like it's one of the Max issues in that it's pay attention to what he's doing, not what he's saying. And in this sense,
but a lot of what he's doing is what he's saying.
I don't know about that.
I see a lot of like what he's, I guess, a lack of doing, and and maybe that's due to trying to be more knowledgeable in what's going on in the government. But I think at this point, I've seen a few different stories that we still have so many vacant occupancies all throughout the administration.
Right.
Because nobody can stand him.
Well, and nobody wants to work.
We've had a lot of people quit, and we've got a lot of people fired, and he's said that he prefers more acting people in some of these positions because they are supposed to be more active.
Right.
Yeah, because when they're interim people who are quote active in that position, they know for a matter of fact that they are on his hook, and they have to do what he says, or he's
They
going
don't
to dismiss
officially
them.
have the job.
Yeah,
So
and
they
so
can't
it's
officially be
basically
fired.
like,
It's like, well, you
it's
were
basically
acting.
like him being in all these positions. It is like
I would think that
it's
would
like a
promote
regent.
instability when you literally
Absolutely.
don't know a chain of command.
But at the same time,
when you've
and
got
again,
people coming in and out.
and they don't have any investment in that office and making a good decision for that office because
But going to the scrutiny issues where everything's scrutinized, in my opinion, to a higher level than has been done prior, whether it's deserved or not, doesn't matter. If everything that he does is scrutinized, if you are tapped on the shoulder and Trump says, "Hey, will you come run this office for me?" Temporarily, or not temporarily, what's the word?
well, he put
Acting.
himself in that position.
I don't disagree with that, but will you be my acting whatever in this job?
Because we scrutinized Clinton much closer after allegations came up the second time.
Right.
So after he has done this bullshit 2 and 3 and 4 times where he has thrown a temper tantrum like a 2-year-old
Right,
and
he fires
dismissed
people-
a chain of people,
Right.
then of course we're going to scrutinize it. I think that has happened before.
Right, but to
I
be the
think
guy,
I gave a good example.
right, but to be the guy that take the guy or girl that takes the job, that's got to be hard to take that job.
Yeah, that's why so many of them are lying fallow. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody wants to work for him.
Right, but it's a double-edged sword in the sense that it's like, I could do the job, and part of it's like, well, I don't want to do the job for him.
Part of the duty of the presidency is to realize when you're no longer fit to be president. And I think, honestly, if he were doing the most conscientious thing, I think that he would back himself out of the positions that he has put himself in, where he runs intimately too many details. And I think
agree.
he needs to focus on facilitating other people who are experts in their fields.
I agree. I
to
think
do
that's
their own jobs.
I think that's a problem with the
you're
job.
right, but the type of person that he is,
He's not.
He is going to strangle it
Right.
until he is able to make the minutia of decisions for
right.
every position.
He's going to have somebody that just
because that's who
right.
he is.
Right, I agree with that.
And so
There's been a
if
number
he
of
were actually being active in the interest of the public,
Right,
then he would recuse himself from all these spots.
I agree.
He won't,
No,
because he's a shitty president.
but there's a lot of presidents who've done that in the past too.
That really,
There's been a ton of presidents that have been super hands off, super hands on.
yeah, to this extent.
I don't know. I would be.
I would really, really like to. Well, no, I guess
I mean, there's
there's been a few, but I'm pretty sure that one specifically who did almost exactly the same set of things.
LBJ was.
I'm talking about Nixon,
Oh, that one too. Yeah.
and he set it up.
Right.
LBJ, I mean, never mind.
I mean, he was knee deep in everything he did.
Yes, but because he kind of had to be.
I mean, well,
He was fixing a lot of political wrongs from before him. I feel like LBJ
He was a big leader in welfare reform.
Yeah, and he's a very undersold leader, I feel like. But that's beside the point. Is that sometimes just by the position that the state of things are in when you come into office,
Right.
that dictates your actions. He has made this bed.
right, and I would think.
So whoever
speaking
comes in
for the
after
president,
him,
like I do.
right? What are they going to have to do? They're going to have to work with the system that's in place until they can fix that, right?
Right.
So would they be considered just as nepotistic or just as hands-on or just as meddling? Maybe. But it's the position that somebody else has put them in, and whether they do a good job with it, like what LBJ did, or...
That's Obama's pitch right now.
See,
Obama's pitch is, don't worry about Biden being delusional and half senile. He's going to put people in place that are going to take care of things.
just
But
trying to think
that's the truth of it, is that a good leader does that.
Right, except because it's the right thing to do, not because they're senile and shouldn't.
I think you're underselling Biden, too.
Oh, Jesus. Have you heard any of his press conferences and stuff like that?
Not recently. What I'm
Oh,
saying
Jesus.
is that if you are operating from a core value system, right, whether you're senile or not, don't you think that core value system is still intact? And if the right thing to do is to put the right person in the right place and let them do their job,
I agree with that.
that is a general characteristic of a person.
I fully
That's
do.
all I'm saying.
And to
We're talking about base tendencies.
right, to suck on the teat of my Rogan podcast that I love so much is that, like, he jokes all the time about how ridiculous the job of the president is. Like, it's just such a, like, it's not. It's,
Why do you think Washington didn't want to be president?
right, it's
He
not
was a smart man.
right. It's not a functional, like, I mean, you got to be
effing crazy to want to do
right.
it.
Even if you put lot of great people in place. The fact that it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. If you have every
You're
office...
extending your trust to all those people.
Right. If you have every office with the best person for the job in place, all that stuff,
Granted
you
that you
are
can find
literally... You literally, if you spent an hour a day with each of them, you can't sleep. You can't sleep and do anything with an hour a day of each of your top officials and have any clue on what's going on any of this particular issues. It's so ridiculous. And I mean, I guess that's part of the system, and that's why we have the 3 branches and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, it's a dumb job. Like, it's a dumb job. It doesn't make sense.
Dumb as in hard?
No, it's an impossible job. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of a comparable because I always run it into business examples.
Cabinet's what, 13 people? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't have literally more than maybe 30 or 40 highly top officials that you would need to
so
rely
30,
upon.
30 or 40 people you spend an hour with a day.
No, but I'm saying you could see those people in a week.
And not only that, but
once a week.
You're not going to have active interaction with people who are entrusted to maintain the state of things. If they're within that balance, you're not going to have to be super involved with that.
But you gotta sign your name on that line when whatever comes across the desk.
Yes, but what I'm saying is having just touch with somebody, like basing, just an update, maybe once a week would be fine for most of the time.
Right.
Like what he was saying.
Oh, I was just saying that was kind of a cop-out that you can't see some of your top officials.
I just think, I mean, I don't know. Like, I would like to see I would need to see like, the full list.
If he's got time to go fucking play golf, I don't want to hear that he ain't got time to do that.
Well, they all got time to play golf. But.
I mean, he's fucking tweeting that he's getting tired of watching fucking rerun baseball games. Why the fuck are you watching rerun baseball games and basketball games?
Is it?
I'm not kicking the man for trying to
have downtime,
unwind a little bit.
Not even that. Is that not? I don't know. That reads to me like that's a. Hey guys,
I'm saying you can't use the excuse you don't have time for stuff if you're doing other bullshit.
Right, but I'm my point being is I don't.
I
assume, and I don't know, but I assume the statement of I'm tired of watching rerun baseball games is not. I'm actually watching rerun baseball games. It's a hey, common guy who's stuck at home, can't do anything. I'm in it with you. Hey, sports fans that are out there.
I could see that.
I see where you're at.
Maybe we're taking it too literally. I get
right,
that.
I think that's probably more of a play on, hey guys, I feel you out there that are tired of dealing with it. I could be wrong.
It's like the hashtag rerun suck or something like that. Yeah, it's like his version
he's just trying to identify with us.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he's so similar to us.
He's just like us.
Just like us.
I mean,
everybody puts their spray tan on one leg at a time.
One spritz at a time.
Hey, I mean, that guy.
One can at a time. God, fuck.
I mean, that guy's. I don't know. I don't know. It goes to. I mean, we like I do come off as the apologist. I know I do. I come off as the apologist.
Some of his core positions we've had like a revolving door over. And we've had 3, 4 Secretary of States. I think we may have had the same Surgeon General. We've had some major positions that have not been consistent, and we're 3.5 years.
He's just not consistent, though.
And we're gonna do it for 4 more.
Think about it. A year ago, he was ready to blow Kim Jong whatever up, and now they're best friends, and they write each other love letters.
He's got diabetes.
My point is
there's
that
a rumor going now that like he had
sick.
Surgery and nobody's heard from him.
He's
in
just
like a few days.
inconsistent in general. Is my point. Is
and
that
his sister.
Trump is a known unknown. We know that he is I don't know, flighty in his stance on things. He changes his mind on shit all the time. That's all I'm saying. Like, even from this was my idea to this wasn't my idea. Or I said that and I didn't say that. That's all I'm saying. He's not a terribly stable person.
So, yeah, Kim Jong-un's supposedly sick or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so the rumor is that if he dies, that his sister will take over, and apparently she's smoking hot.
Sweet.
I mean, if you're into Asian girls.
Well, I mean, maybe they really will have a love affair then.
But yeah, so apparently, like she is by whatever edict or whatever the next in line. But
Oh wait, so it's just like that movie, The Interview.
no, was
she was a general. Yeah, she was a general. You're right, but she was smoking hot.
Also Drew. We'll get Dennis Rodman on the case. He'll figure it out. But I lost my train of thought. Anyway.
I don't know, but I was enjoying not talking about Trump for a little bit.
Good luck. So anyway, cabinet positions have been empty forever. I don't know. I just don't like my problem. My biggest problem here is
I thought we were trying to get away from him.
I mean, Trump or not, the issue right now to me is to boast my libertarian mini-isms in here is Biden's problematic. Whether you like
that's not very easy.
whether you hate Trump or not, can you vote for Biden at this point? That's my problem. And I'm good either way. But like I just don't see Biden I don't see Biden beating him. I don't. I
mean, most presidents get a second term, and I've resigned myself to the fact. But God, I would really love it to know that my fellow human is not as dumb as
I mean, I think it's really going to come down to what happens in the next few months. I mean, right now his approval rating is going down. It's at like 40-45% maybe. Because I mean, a lot of people will associate with what's going on around them with
I agree with that.
The president.
I agree with that, but I think I think if we get back to any sort of campaigning, I think he can spin it well enough.
God, I hope he.
And I don't think Biden can.
Boss. I mean, there's still enough people out there that
it's not even enough
Trump
people
can do no wrong.
It's not even those people. It's. I mean, realistically, what Trump won the first election on was not that Trump can do no wrongs, and it wasn't that Hillary is the best thing ever. It was that middle ground set of people.
It was at least he's not the other person,
right? And I think Trump still has that card against Biden, and that's the bottom line. I think is like I think he still has the card of, okay, you know, I mean, AC was shitting on the idea of Trump accepts the fact that he is evil in the lesser of two evils conversation and is willing to sell that, and that's a problem. And I don't disagree with the general point that AC was getting.
I think Trump would totally do that.
Oh, he did that. That was his play against Hillary,
okay.
And I think he'll do it again. Except instead of lesser two evils, I'll be the saner of two maniacs, and I think he'll sell that the same way. And I think, sadly, Biden can't beat that argument right now. He cannot beat that argument. The only thing Biden has is the Obama blessing saying, hey, yeah, he's kind of crazy and he's kind of losing his shit, but he, and really the Democratic Party is going to push the shit
into a whole not Trump instead of not Hillary.
Yeah, but how the heck is Biden considered crazier than Trump?
It's not. It's
like he's fucking batshit. Like, honestly.
But it's coherent crazy versus incoherent crazy. That's Biden's problem.
I disagree.
Have you watched?
I don't
disagree. He's had some weird moments.
I mean, he can't string like two sentences together.
Okay, that's messed up. I have not seen anything on it. Don't get me wrong. I would think that if he's had some brain hemorrhage, maybe the Democratic Party needs to consider their second choice.
Cuomo has been tossed around, but that's a separate thing.
My point is that. I mean, he's crazy.
Okay, so this guy.
In general, think about what you know about Biden from like a year ago, right? Versus what Trump is today. That's what my brain is saying. How the hell do people think that he's crazier?
Well, the problem is that a little less than a year ago, the Democratic Party had no love for Biden, and then oh shit, it might be fucking Bernie. So
yeah, but no love for and crazy are different things.
Well, it was
a year ago.
I'm just saying.
I said last time.
I would almost guarantee you that if a strange orthopedist from like Chicago who wears like Argyle sweater vests went and said, "I'm running for president tomorrow and campaign nice and hard," he would win. You know why? Because he's plain and normal.
Right, but Biden isn't that either.
But my point is that that's what I thought of him a year ago. He's just boring.
Right. And I think that is their number one sales pitch. The Democratic Party sales pitch for Joe Biden.
This is everybody's stepdad.
Right. It's just kind of it's just
nobody really wants to spend an evening listening to that. And that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Right.
But I didn't realize he had gone nuts. But anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean like it's fucking weird.
I'll have to check that out.
You've got to. I mean there was a clip of him talking about when he was a lifeguard in high school.
You know, I had a theory one time.
Juxtapose it with, other speeches that he's done. I'll admit, times that I've gone off and been talking stuff for hours and hours and hours for a whole day, you start saying some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But do it. I mean, but on the campaign trail, a sense of things.
I don't disagree.
All the time.
I've heard some snippets of him saying some weird shit.
When I had that photography job, and I was literally talking to kids, and just like in that high pitched squeal, like look at the camera. Oh my god, right. I literally went crazy towards the end of the day because I was constantly engaging with people in this way where I wasn't me.
Right.
And I was saying the same thing over and over and over.
Right.
And I was literally going a little stir crazy by the end of the day. I remember having conversations with you where I couldn't quite make any sense. So I totally identify with that. It's possible. But then again, he's of the right age to have had a fucking aneurysm. So,
and he's also,
or he could be stroking out or something.
He's also running for the president of the United States, not taking pictures of kids.
My point, but no, what I'm saying is that same thing of putting on the veil to interact with the public and just, really hound those points in. And, that's got to be the same type of mentality. Server mode, bartender mode. It's not you, it's a piece of you.
Right. It's the game you play in front of, but he is
my point is
professional at playing the game.
I could see how that would work, but I don't think that that's what it is.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I get that. I totally get that what you're saying, but he is a career professional at this game, and he can't play the game anymore.
Yeah, he could probably do it in his sleep.
Right.
But
he could a couple years ago. Right.
Yeah.
Right. When he was when he was vice president for Obama, he was playing that game, and he could do it, without even blinking, but he can't anymore. It's bad. I mean, and he disappeared for 2 weeks once the real shutdown started happening, and everybody was like, "Where'd he go?"
What's funny is I had a theory when Bush was president.
He had a stroke.
I knew it.
I mean, nobody said so officially, but
you're stealing my theory.
When he choked on the pretzel.
Yeah. No, I don't know about this pretzel part.
You don't remember that?
Listen, I had that was my theory. All right, I think maybe we formed this together way back in the day. I'm telling you, he had a stroke because you should look at campaign speeches. He's a fucking whippersnapper. He's likable. And I hated that guy. That's saying something for me to admit that he's likable. He has
have a droopy face at all?
He had vigor, right?
Yeah.
And then
and that's one of the things.
2 years in, after that, he started doing this thing.
But I think that's the thing. That's
where he would.
I think that's a selling point for Trump too, though.
Dramatic, but honestly, he got weird.
Yeah, and I think it's not abnormal. I mean, you talk about how the office ages a guy.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. I don't doubt that could put somebody in a weird mentality.
I think that's I think that's one of Trump's selling points too.
Is that maybe he's just temporarily crazy?
No, is that he was crazy and he is today what he was on the campaign trail the first time around.
Okay, wait. Do you remember when I was debating you about whether or not you were an idiot for saying that you wanted to vote for him, even though you swear up and down?
I didn't vote for him.
I know, but you swear up and down you weren't actually going to do it.
Well, I only didn't vote for him.
At one point, you were really ready to vote for him.
I was, yeah.
And I even admitted, despite the fact that I think that he is a successful person in other areas of his life, right? He's likable. He obviously got on TV, right? He is successful insofar as he has created personal success. Maybe not for the businesses that he worked with or anybody else, really. But my point is that he has positive attributes, but not anymore in my eyes. I feel like he has gone past the point of being productive in any way, shape, or form, and he's only detrimental. I couldn't.
Well, no, right. Because my argument for him at the time was the system is fucking bullshit, and
maybe shake it up is what it needs.
Right. He is anything but part of this system, and he is going to blow some shit up, which
he has.
He has. Yeah, indeed, but not in the way that I was hoping he would, and all that kind of different stuff.
And that was what it was.
Right.
Is that you had this hope that really all we needed was to be shocked back into normalcy,
Right.
As a system, as a a whole.
I would word it a little
But I
differently.
think on
I would
the
argue
big
that he
scheme, he might be that still, but it's going to be in reverberations from his presidency rather than because of it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do. I follow.
I would argue he's pushed the Republican Party in a bad direction.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
kind of
In
giving
an
it
alt-right type direction?
giving it a little bit of a tainted.
I don't get that.
Tainted skew.
A little bit of a neo-Nazi type vibe.
How? I don't understand that. That one I don't get. That one I will super Trump train against a neo-Nazi.
I don't feel like xenophobia against Asians was as big of a deal 10 years ago as it is right now. And it's all because of somebody who was at the head of their political schema being just thoroughly just lambasting anybody who is of a different race or color or creed or sexuality or orientation. He's a fucking bully. He is a bully. He is a holier-than-thou white male who knows that he has every privilege in the world but swears up and down it's only because of himself. I mean, he is not inclusive. He has negative thoughts about everything. Right?
Okay.
That's not...
I don't know. I mean...
That's not the type of thing that you want to move closer to in personal world viewpoints. Like, when you have, like, a bigot and a sexist and, you know what I'm saying? Like, as your ideal. I mean, people want to move closer to the leader of their party, right?
Right.
They're the power player. They're the power circle. And so they align their points of views. They align their worldview with these people. They want to be like them. I think that's a bad thing to want to be like. I think that he's a shitty human being. And I think that rubs off on people around him.
I gotta think about that. Because I don't know that I've, other than the Middle Eastern travel ban from like 3 years ago.
Mexican walls and
the Mexican wall, the wall itself is stupid.
bullying kids on the internet.
The premise of the premise of border security is the last 5 presidents have fucking made an issue out of it.
You don't
and
think
failed.
that
Right, but
had
he lumped them
something
all
to
and
do
said
with
that it's a bunch
race?
of racist or
He called them brown at one point.
bunch of rapists and
Yeah,
people that
criminals.
are coming over.
Look it up. Pull up the full quote of that one. The actual full quote of that one.
Oy. Fact check your own shit.
No, because I didn't say that. He said that. He's fact checking his
I'm
own shit.
saying-
I'm asking him to.
What?
That was the Lysol company, RB.
Oh, okay.
Because because
You don't think that he is a bigot?
I will give him. I will. Fuck, how to word this. He is a nationalist, not a white nationalist. I think he's a nationalist.
Okay,
I think he's I think he's legitimately an American first person.
Okay.
I don't even know if I agree with that. I said it out loud, and I don't like what I said.
Do you feel like he's patronizing in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely.
To everybody equally? No.
I don't know.
You took way long enough.
I don't know. No, the reason I don't know is that I don't know. Fuck God, this is gonna come off terrible. I don't know if his patronizing of particular peoples is because of particular people's.
He's a really rich white dude who's over the age of 50.
Okay.
He's fucking racist. Come on. If you say
so that's
that
standard?
No. What I said is he specifically, right? Of all the things you've heard come out of his mouth.
Okay.
Think about his background.
No.
Then deduce what I'm saying.
So.
All right.
So my dad's a racist because he's pretty
He
well
is,
off.
actually.
He actually is. Okay, fair. You're right. You're not wrong.
Okay, I found it.
So, but hold on before you move on, or before we go back to that part.
Yes, Joe Biden's probably racist too.
Okay, so the idea, the issue
He
is...
does a really good job of owning that, though, and he has changed his views to align to the fact that he realizes it's wrong. People who claim not to be racist, really what they want to say is I'm not racist, but what they really mean is I'm racist, but I'm doing my very damnedest to be aware of that and change my actions.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out. I'm really trying to figure out how to rationalize my dad's racism. Anyway,
it's his era, and it's his
Right,
privilege,
well-
and it's his race, and it's his upbringing.
okay. So do I hold that against my dad because
No.
that's his? So do I hold that against Trump?
But does he act like Trump? Knowing you need to do better is something he doesn't possess.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay.
He's a bad person is what I'm trying to say. He is a shitty person. I don't mean shitty as in he is like an evil person. I mean he is a shitty human.
You're hot on the microphone. Sorry.
What?
You're super hot right now. Sorry.
You just like the fact that I'm fighting with you.
I do.
Anyway,
I'm excited. I'm sorry.
on that note,
Anyway, full
so
quote.
is this
Full
awkward
quote.
for you, Sam?
I'm not personally. Anyway. I mean, you're hot all the time. What do you want me to do? Anyway, sorry. We'll cut that part out. Quote.
Oh, you ready for it?
Yeah, full quote.
Oh, okay.
Come on. Bring it.
All right. From June of 2015. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
Okay.
No, there's nothing wrong with that statement. You don't play that all nonchalant. Oh my god. You're really, really trying to play devil's advocate. I understand that. I do. But here's the thing, is he is just a shitty human. Like
All right, so
his programming doesn't have the capacity
Okay,
to...
here's this Trump on those comments. What can be simpler or more accurately stated? The Mexican government is forcing their most unwanted people into the United States. They are, in many cases, criminals, drug dealers, rapists, etc.
do they have a fact check on that?
Of course he doesn't
is
fact
somebody-
check. He
Not him.
doesn't.
Is somebody fact checking Trump on saying this? What are you?
Sure,
asking?
whatever. Either way. Is there?
Yes, there were.
Define
Is
that.
there- is-
Define
And
that.
in this particular article, no, but I
Hey.
mean, yes. That's the
Zach,
whole
or
thing of
whatever your name
press holding his fucking feet to the coals
Okay.
for saying this shit.
Define
And
fact
it's like,
checking.
no, you cannot say this. This is not true. This is not most of the people that are coming into our borders and have been coming here for decades. That is
in
not.
fact, when we...
Yes, is there crime coming over the border? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But part of it is created by having a border. In fact, it used to be quite normal for people to be actual migrant workers, where they...
We encouraged it
Yeah.
because we
where
didn't
they went
have farm
home,
workers.
but now they can't. They can't. We encouraged that, quote, illegal activity by making it illegal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm I don't know.
Steve, you don't get very much backup, do you?
Who's Steve?
Sorry. The fake name thing is stupid. You know that, right?
I agree, but
I mean, your name is clearly published at the top of the... Anyway.
so
How much longer?
I don't know. However long you want. You don't have to stay if you don't want to stay.
Am I allowed to go smoke and come back?
Sure.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
When you ask questions about what happened while you were gone, I'm not answering them.
What the?
Do I have to give the dog a special name too?
You know, you can call him stupid. That's fine. We call him stupid all the time. So this is episode 7. We are having a different play here. We're having a good time. I'm enjoying it.
Lucky 7.
Sure, I don't mind. Like I don't know. Like I sent the video, which I'm failing to be a good Trump apologist right now, but I'm not really a Trump apologist. I don't like Trump. And I hate to come across.
You want to like him is the problem.
You like that video?
I want.
You're idealistic enough to want to like him because he ticks enough of the boxes where he should be likable.
Right, that's
He's
fair.
just not.
That's fair, but
I mean, I get your.
To me, he highlights the problem in the system, and my hope being him breaking the system failed, and he actually is probably worse. He's probably worse about this. He is worse in how the system works, and it's so much more blatant to see how bad the system is because he's
showing the inside.
Right, he doesn't play it like everybody else plays it. Like everybody else plays it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna kind of be like, and I'm over here, and I'm not saying it out loud." But he'll fucking say it out loud, and that's what I do like about him is he'll say it out loud.
Yeah,
but I mean, again, you know, we've talked in a couple episodes now about third party, and AC likes to shit on me for being a libertarian. That's fine, but honestly, there's no way to beat the system in staying where it is, and that was my hope for Trump, is that he would just tear the system apart, and he's failed to do so.
Yeah, but I think we should invest our time and energy in something that's more likely to pay off, and that's just long-term positive gain.
Yeah, but it goes okay. So
I really think those small positive gains are the only way to do it because nobody changes the whole fucking system in one term.
But I mean. Because that goes into the pendulum swing version of it, which is what AC and Max were talking about a couple weeks ago, is that the pendulum swing is problematic.
So many of my ideas.
The pendulum swing is the problem. I mean, the pendulum swing to me is the problem. Is why does it have to swing? Because it seems to me...
Because that's just how public opinion does.
But it seems to me that the further we go on with this, the wider the swing's getting.
The larger the body of water, the bigger the waves. So it's how big and diverse and populated we are. The world, period.
Right.
I think where it comes down, I mean, the people that you inspire to actually get out and vote. Like I keep meaning to look it up to look and see how many people actually get out there and vote.
The larger the body of water,
I think I tried to bring it up last time.
And that's why Bernie sucks,
the bigger
because
the population on anything, the bigger the change they can make.
I didn't realize that. I think Australia has compulsory voting. I wonder how well that would work in America.
Can we just move there?
And I'm sure some people would be like, no, it's anti-American. You can't make me
do
is.
anything.
I would be super happy to hear those voices.
I don't know if that would be good or...
The thing to me...
Bad. I mean...
The thing to me on the compulsory voting thing is not voting is a vote. Whether it's a laziness or whether it's a choice not vote. And the problem is we don't collectively consider that a vote.
We don't count that as a no vote.
Right.
Like, hey, there's more people that didn't want either one of those two
not
people.
Voting is
that you
not
put up.
always a vote because some people vote out of true ignorance to the effect that a vote could have, right? Like pervasive generational ignorance
I just
of
vote red.
Political...
Right, I vote red, whatever, it doesn't matter. I vote red.
We've talked about that. I mean, the couple times I've gone in to vote, like, I didn't know 95% of the people I was voting for. I'm
not going to lie. The very first time that I voted, I just checked Democratic on everything because my parents were Republicans and I didn't want to be that.
Yeah, and then that's normal.
I'm not joking.
No, that's not. That's totally normal in the grand scheme of things, is that...
so most people do that. They look at a name that they looks like they might like.
That's just as bad.
This one pisses
That looks like a wholesome name.
At least people will be more interested and more because if it's ubiquitous, right? Then the water cooler conversation is going to be that no matter what.
The inverse being is that
people will be more informed because everybody has to do it. If it pertains to you, you're more likely to talk about it with somebody else who you know it pertains to, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I think. Especially if it is a new thing, everybody would be talking about it.
A new thing, yeah. But when it's always been, I think it would be this. I don't know.
But you're talking about wanting to have shakeups that change things, right? Is it possible to make it a 20-year mandatory compulsory voting? I mean, it's not a permanent infringement of people's rights and or personal liberties. I don't know. It's the type of thing that, like, okay, maybe it's not as crazy as it sounds.
I don't know. I mean, but you talk about if that's the thing, and then you talk about like all the different.
Don't get me wrong. It's probably the wrong way to go about it.
You get into issues where it's like, you know, you've had all sorts of like floating around issues with voting as it sits currently, and then you make it compulsory, like say, oh well.
Well, no. I know that would be the wrong type backlash. But what I'm saying is, it's the type of pendulum swing that could be a positive direction.
Well,
I understand that it could have its associated bads, right? But I'm saying that's not crazy sounding to me. Is that the opposite pendulum swing could be in a positive direction?
Right, but that, I mean, again, to me, is the pendulum's going to swing.
Yes.
But
the thing is it's not a lateral swing. No matter what you do, the reverberation from any shot is like buckshot. Once it explodes, it could go anywhere.
yeah,
but it's
I think,
also like the I don't know, the quantum entangled particle where it's not any one of them until it is. Does that make any sense?
no.
You
said quantum, and I went blank.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
A little bit.
Sam.
Only a little bit.
I mean, it's
Truly down to a
all the
sum-particle level, you
possibilities.
can actually have two.
Yeah. And it could be one
Two
or
things
the other.
in the
It's Schrodinger's
same-
cat, right?
Literally in the same place.
And it's
at
both
the
dead
same
and
time.
alive at the same time until it is or it isn't, right? The pendulum could go anywhere because it's not like a pendulum. It's like a ball. It's bouncing and it'll go wherever its equal opposite is. But we don't know what it's bouncing off of. We don't know what angle the wall is at. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I sort of follow what's going on right now. I just don't understand why we can't have
It's not.
I don't know,
I'm saying like
5 parties. And
the opposite reaction doesn't necessarily mean that it's opposite as in predictably opposite. It's not black white. It's any shade of red versus any shade of blue. But
the
it could
problem
be
is-
something close to pink and something close to purple.
Right, but my problem is there is no pink, purple, or anything else. We have a red or a blue.
It's been, 100 years since we've had a real,
Third party.
not even like a real third party.
you
but I
had,
mean, outside of like Republican and Democrat, I mean, you had, going back to Teddy Roosevelt, you had the Bull
Right.
Moose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right,
A
and that was
real-
only
a
because
real
he didn't like the
viable
guy he
third
put in his
party.
own place.
A real viable third party in the sense that they
I mean,
had
there was a
true,
big push for the Socialist Party in the 20s and 30s. I can't remember the
because
guy's name.
they are grassroots. And
Yeah, it was grassroots at the
that's
time.
what I'm saying. All of those really good third party options are because there is a generalized feeling of not fitting in those two super.
Right, and I think that's where we're at, and that's my
That's
thing.
my point. Is
So
that that
we've been
third party?
Stuck in that for like 100 years.
It's possible that the bounce back or the reverb is that.
Maybe.
That's all I'm saying.
So that, I mean, that would be the okay. I get what you're saying.
The
Okay.
pendulum swing is. It could be that is what it takes to get the momentum to turn it.
Right. Yeah, I was not. Yeah. Okay, I follow now.
That's why I said a ball bouncing in the sense that we didn't have a third party before, and so it won't be the opposite. Maybe it'll be a third option.
Right. Libertarian.
Sure.
Sure.
Green party.
So
What? I'm just kidding.
Green Party's weird.
I
super
was
weird.
kidding. It's the only other third party that I know of
I do-
that's been in our life.
I would like to see.
Has there been another random third party in our lifetime?
I mean, the Socialist Party. There's been a
Independent.
Communist Party. There's been a
in our lifetime?
Communist Party.
Independent.
That's what I was
Correct.
saying. Oh yeah, the independent. That's right. They called it just straight up independent party before.
Perot. Yeah.
Okay, so that one, and then the Green Party, and then Libertarian.
I think that was
What else
Perot
have we
not
had?
trying to be.
So all these little grass start movements, I feel like are the public crying out for it.
Right, and I think right
You had the
now.
Tea Party movement.
And,
Oh yeah.
yeah. That was like a super red part. I mean,
So
that was
we
a
just
super
need to figure out
Republican-
something we can conglomerate around in order to make that third.
Well, there's been pushes for it. I mean, so that shows that
That's what I'm
there's
saying.
a
There's
demand and
obviously a
a
demand
want
for it.
Yeah.
Is that there are enough people that feel like they don't fit into that category, but they don't know where their weirdos are. You know?
I don't know.
Shine your bat signal.
I don't know the tenets of the. I mean, I'm that's to me that's the point of this podcast is this
The bat party.
Was it fly your freak flag?
right
I'm calling it the bat party from now on.
is to if I can sit down, if I can at least get AC to acknowledge like 2 or 3 tenets of the Libertarian Party, I win. That's all that matters. Not really all that matters. There's a lot more that matters, but
Win what?
I win at life for me personally.
You already do because you have me.
Yeah. I have our 2 beautiful children and
The
this
argument
stupid
they've
ass
had going
dog.
for 20 years.
I won the entertainment argument 15 years ago.
Whatever.
I mean, that's episode 100. We've already established.
Listen, I got bored of the entertainment argument 15 years ago.
I wish I had it, but I just like to argue. So.
I know.
But I'm still right. I still think I'm right.
You're always right.
No, everything's mine.
Exactly.
I did hear something interesting that I don't really remember. I vaguely remember it happening, but they saw an article that was talking about how they were recommending that Trump, with the whole coronavirus going on, they were saying Obama did it during, I guess, after the Haiti earthquake, or the earthquake in Haiti, actually got Clinton and Bush and appointed them as like leaders for this response.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
like
were
making them ambassadors, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was one thing I was like, I vaguely remember that happening. I was like, but that's a great thing.
I mean, I will say this. Like, I mean, it's been, what was it? What was the fat guy from New Jersey?
Chris Christie.
Yeah, like there's a picture of Chris Christie, and it was post the hurricane that ended up in the
Sandy.
Yeah, Hurricane Sandy, and like Obama got off Air Force One, and Christie was waiting there for him, and because Obama was doing his post catastrophe thing, and like gave Obama a hug, and like apparently the both, especially the Republican side of the press, like shit all over Christie, and a bunch of Republicans are like, how dare you fucking hug Obama and blah blah, all this bullshit. It's like, are we really that dumb? Are we really that dumb that
Yes.
that the current the current governor of the state of New Jersey
I feel like
has a serious fucking issue, and as much as I hate FEMA,
I feel
the
like
president
the
comes down.
political parties are so didactic that
and I think
they truly forget that we're all supposed to be thinking
Right.
about America,
and I think that's and
as
again,
in all of us, including them.
to go back and give Trump indirect credit, I think Trump clarified the issue that's the way it is. I mean, McConnell did it with Obama already before that, but I mean, I think Trump's underscored the issue that it's this red blue line thing.
Americans, all of them.
No, I think
Who agree with him?
No, I think Trump's clarifying the issue, whether he's doing it on purpose or not. I think he's clarifying the issue that I am Trump, I am Republican, and the Democrats hate everything I do. I think he's underscored that as a problem of the system. Whether he's doing it on purpose or not, I don't know.
He's doing it because they're picking on him.
Well, fine, it doesn't matter. To me,
To you, it's because you identify more with him than you do Obama. I'm not joking. You liked him less as a person than you like Trump.
But
you are able to put yourself mentally into a point of view that looks out from his perspective, right?
I don't disagree with that, but my point...
And I feel like you're more likely to point out that he has said these people are causing a witch hunt because A, he screams it, and B, you see it.
Right.
Because he is calling attention to it, and,
Right.
and he is seeking your sympathy from his, plea to everybody that it's a witch hunt, right?
Right.
Obama, in very plain, boring,
Do it. Do your Obama
this
impression.
has been a very trying time for me in the public eye. But my point is that he's boring sounding. You can't hear him because you're not trying to, right? So you
Right.
can hear Trump because you're trying to. I feel like simply detaching your point of view from the situation and trying to look at it that way, you'd see that he called attention to it just as much. It was just that you didn't hear it at that time.
Perhaps. I don't know. I have to think about it. I just feel like...
He didn't call it attention, on Twitter.
Well, I don't. I mean, that's true too, for sure. But I mean, I don't think there's scrutiny. I really don't think the scrutiny was there at all, comparatively. I mean, like, what was the one?
You don't watch those news outlets that reported on it back then.
But no, I mean, like,
what
was the one? What was the one I brought up last week?
Videos of
Yeah, that's my point.
No, what was the
of
one I
all
brought
the
up last week?
criticisms of Obama that were going on at the time.
And for no good reason. Like, is he even American?
That one. I agree. That's fucking
you
stupid.
You can
That's
cherry
my
pick
point.
some things.
And then
No,
people
but
did.
the real issues. What was the one I brought up last week?
But that's my point, is that he did call people out on it. It just died down because eventually he stopped pandering to it. And so people boiled down to brass tacks, right?
Well, they didn't have as much to criticize him on. I mean, yeah, they had some policy differences.
Oh, fuck yeah, he had a lot of shit to criticize him on. Anyway, sorry.
Did he say that he wrote love letters to dictators from foreign countries?
Did he drone this shit out of all sorts of innocent people all over the fucking planet? Yes.
Did Trump?
He probably has continued it, yeah. He's probably continued it.
So did Obama. He continued it. He was handed it too.
What was the one I brought up last week?
That's the POTUS position. But my point is that he's the one who
credit card
whines about it.
The credit card thing. Okay, so it was Operation.
You're hearing him because he's whining about it.
No, it was Operation something or other that Obama brought up. He put the financial teams, he put the Department of Treasury on an issue to non-legally shut down businesses that the office didn't deem worthy.
Huh?
I'm trying to find it in our text group. I put a link to it and fuck.
I just burped and hiccuped at the same time.
Gross.
It was weird.
And you're not, and I'm the drunk one, so.
I do vaguely remember that.
I have empty burps. I'm hungry.
I'll take a piece of pizza if you're cooking.
I was planning on eating it cold.
Well, you can throw mine in the toaster. I'll forget about it.
I'm sure you can go through most presidents and find policies that they've voted on that were not highly agreed upon.
Oh, yeah.
No, the thing is, I didn't hear anything about this until like a week ago.
About what?
Fuck, I'm trying to find it.
Oh, I mean, how many earmarks do you think are on congressional bills that get passed
and they need
that you
to
never
fucking
hear of?
and every single one of those fuckers that sign off on it need to get fucking murdered for it.
That a lot of shit happens that you don't know about?
Because it's just how it works there. That everybody's got somebody who's shaking hands with somebody else.
Right, and they need to fucking die for
on
it.
Down the fucking chain. Yeah.
I hate that shit.
Yes, absolutely. But where were you 5 years ago when Democrats were yelling this? That's my point, is that just because you identify more with what they're saying right now doesn't mean that it's not been being yelled for years by every party that feels like they're in the ousted position.
I mean, I get it. I'm just...
Anyway.
I don't again, I come off as the Trump apologist, but I don't feel like I agree.
You're trying
Operation Choke Point. Found it. All right. Operation Choke Point was a 2013 initiative of the United States Department of Justice, which investigated banks in the United States and the businesses they did with firearm dealers, payday lenders, and other companies believed to be high risk for fraud and money laundering. All right, so they give a list later down on all the companies that they went after. Essentially, what they did was they made this list of companies or of industries that they didn't like, and they went after the through the Department of Treasury to stop banks from dealing with them. So one of the ones more current would be the pot industry, but we don't care about that. But it was like porn dealers, gun shops, all these different things. There were Democrat issues that Obama wanted to attack, but he couldn't legally go after them, and so he went through this side channel.
Read the first part of that again.
Okay. Operation Choke Point was a 2013 initiative of the United States Department of Justice, which investigated banks in the United States and the businesses they did with firearm dealers, payday lenders, and other companies believed to be a high risk of fraud or money laundering.
Hold on one second. I don't see anything about that that's bad, though.
So if you are a firearms dealer...
Are you committing fraud or money laundering?
No.
It sounds to me that you're taking the quote out of context, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
It sounds to me like it was intended for the use...
Fraud protection.
Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying is that what you're doing is you're creating a short list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of people that could be money laundering or committing fraud, right?
Right.
And on that short list, you can check in to see whether or not they are.
Right.
You're not shutting down all of that short list. What you're doing is
No, they were shutting them down. Sorry.
Using this as a fishing list.
Okay.
To shut people down.
Okay.
So, carte blanche, they were just shutting down all firearm dealers.
No, but they were investigating banks.
Fishing in that list.
They were investigating banks that were processing payments for firearms dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Because those are the records they have access to. If you have a transaction between two parties,
there's zero evidence that a number of the industries that they targeted had any issues with fraud or money laundering.
okay,
But there were industries that were targeted by the Obama administration for whatever reason Obama did it.
because they had bad data, it sounds like.
Okay. So it took me, we're 5 years since he was in office, but 7 years since this went into shape for me to hear anything about this. Because this affected me personally, us personally,
How?
because we are under the set of industries that is on that list.
And they are?
Vape industries. Basically what it did is it gave
Wait.
the Department of the Treasury.
What were the 3 industries that it said?
There's a big fucking list later down in the article. But
You didn't... No, the set of industries were firearm dealers.
Mm-hmm.
What
Payday
else?
lenders and
Payday
other
lenders.
companies.
Okay. So
And
what-
I fall under the other companies category.
All right. You're baiting me and switching.
Sorry.
So who are you mad at? The press for not finding this out and reporting this earlier? The government for not being more transparent in what they were doing at the time?
Because was it an open document?
Or are you mad at yourself for not?
Was it an ongoing investigation? That's what I'm saying. Is that I don't understand exactly what the stance is that is upsetting, other than the fact that included a possible impact on you.
It's not about
you were-
me at all, but
No, but I mean, what I'm saying is that industry isn't being targeted. What they're being is investigated. As an industry, this
Okay.
is my short list of people that may
Right.
have, because if you have
So
a new,
go ahead.
if you have a new industry, right, that's just popping up
Mm-hmm.
and it's recreating like freaking bunnies, right?
Mm-hmm.
CBD, for example.
Sure.
It's the Wild West.
Right.
That sounds like a high risk place for business fraud. Sounds like a high risk place for money laundering. It sounds like a high risk place for financials, in bad dealings, shadiness, like villainous activity.
I would like. I mean, not
I don't think that is
not
a
for this-
actual.
not honestly, not for the
Fact.
sake of argument.
No, I don't think that is an actual fact for the vape industry specifically.
No, I'm just
But
saying.
what I am
but,
saying is that when things are new and
Okay.
it's kind of unregulated, it's a tiptoe territory for people who can fly under radars that aren't there yet, right? It just is.
No. That's where my question is. Is that right? You just said is that it's new. It's a new industry. We don't know what it is exactly yet.
What I'm saying is that there is a tendency of shady people to be drawn to areas with gray. People see opportunity,
Okay.
whether it be good or bad, is based on the people that we're talking about. There are people that are out there finding ways to launder money, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is their job. That's their interest in the racket. Now, do you think it's always the same set of businesses that they're using? No, because they're going to have to come up with new things as they get wise to, as authorities get wise to how they're doing it. Well, this is still a racket that's going to continue.
Okay.
It just is.
All
right? Illegal money is illegal money.
So what's the solution
So they
to
find
that?
gray area in the economy.
But I'm saying the solution to that is
Pre-regulating everything before they even happen.
to fuck with new industry. I mean,
they're doing it, not the government. The government just knows that there are. All right, it's like saying this street over here is Bourbon Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this street over here is Canal Street. Bourbon Street gets a lot of drunk people there. We should put more police officers there.
Okay.
That's smart.
Okay, but
is it Bourbon Street's fault? No. Are the police doing it to be mean to Bourbon Street? No.
You're right, but the analogy.
There are people that are drawn there to party, and there are also irresponsible people too.
Okay, I get
and those people come with the crowd.
Right, I follow what you're saying, but the analogy you put up says that Bourbon Street is known to have that, where the list of businesses that we're talking
It's
about.
the Wild West analogy that I came up with first. Remember when people were going west, young man? Part of the appeal was lack of regulation, was the opportunity for literally anything,
Right.
good or bad, Shady people were drawn to that.
Okay, and so we're good people.
So we're good people. But where shady people are,
Right.
it is our prerogative to regulate out the bad by policing that territory.
But so good people lose their ability to do what they want to do.
It just is that way.
See, that's problematic for me.
You're saying that it is a witch hunt of these industries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that case, there should be no such thing as the Securities Exchange Fraud Commission or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Probably.
All right. That's your point of view. But while there is, don't you think that it is their job to continue doing what they have been tasked to do?
So what we're saying
your
is...
problem is less with its specific action, more so with its presence on this planet.
Probably, yes.
So why are we fighting about this? It just is.
I don't want to accept that we're okay with this just is.
I'm not saying that you should, but why were they doing it? They weren't trying to lambast these people for being in new upcoming industries. They're executing the purview that they have been given because some people are yes men, because some people do what they're told. Most people. And so if you are working in the position of investigator of business fraud in some mid-level position in Wichita, Kansas, and your boss told you to go over this list,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
The placement
The issue
of
is-
these
right.
regulatory bodies
Right, but the
was
issue is...
already there,
The issue to me in this thing is that
and they continue.
companies that were doing the things were having issues being able to do the things, assuming for a second that they were legitimately doing the thing.
It's like a stop and frisk, right? You're
Yeah.
having trouble getting to the place where you're going. But the stop and frisk is in effect. And they're doing it to catch the bad person,
Right.
not you. And the inconvenience is just there.
Right. And I have issues with that.
That inconvenience being just there. But what I originally heard from you was the stop and frisk is a bad thing to do.
Yes.
Okay. But it's what they have to do in order to catch people laundering money. They're not trying to disrupt regular business. What they're trying to do is interfere with people doing bad businesses.
Right. But by trying
doing that, yeah, they're putting other people out. That's fine.
But that's-
not that's fine. Sorry,
Okay.
I get the point
Right.
that they are putting other people out.
And that's my
But
issue.
they didn't do it specifically to target that industry. The industry happens to be new.
I mean, the list isn't all new industry, but
There might be other high-risk areas. New is a high-risk area.
right. I follow what you're saying.
Porn is probably a high-risk area.
Porn is on the list.
I bet places that, I don't know, sell alcohol are on high-risk areas.
Mm-hmm.
I bet strip clubs are too. I bet coin laundry machine places are. None of these things are inherently bad, but they are known for bringing in a sort of element that is easy to launder money, right?
I get that.
Cash based, high amount of sales or what have you, right?
But my problem.
Those things are high risk.
Right.
Also, a unregulated new vein of commerce
my
would make something high risk.
I agree. I don't disagree with that at all. My point is
That doesn't make it bad.
is that you are.
You were saying you were being vilified. and
No, I'm
protected.
not. That's not what I was saying at all. Is that my problem with it is that
Then what was the bait and switch for?
it's the same thing with gun regulation that we talked about priorly on the podcast. Is that you are putting the burden on the person who's trying to do good and trying to do their thing correctly to prove that they're doing their thing correctly.
It doesn't sound to me like
To
that. They
save-
didn't petition each one of these places for their bank records. No.
No, what they
went
did-
back end into the bank records to see if they had shady dealings.
What I
So
didn't-
as not to.
No, it wasn't back end. It was front end. It was, we're not going to give you the ability to process credit cards as a business because the industry you're in, because the
You
government.
didn't say that either.
I didn't get there.
Okay.
Because the government said that you were a high risk business And by being a high-risk business, you are more likely to have chargebacks and all that kind of shit.
I think you started out fighting.
Oh, I'm that's all I do.
No, but my point is that you barely got into it before you got offended that you were on the list and didn't even tell me you were.
Maybe. My point is that like this is the choke point thing to me as an Obama administration thing is significant.
And the choke point thing is the not being able to run credit cards for that period of time.
Right, and that's some shitty shit that Obama did as a president.
Personally?
I mean, not even personally. Regardless of my industry part of it.
No. Personally, like he said, let's do this.
I mean, it was his Justice Department, yes.
Okay.
Whether he was playing the game right, where he had people that did it for him, and he said, "Okay, sure, I sign off on that," because this was our issue with Trump, is that he has to be knee deep in it.
Part of
maybe Obama
having
wasn't.
The person in the job who is responsible for it is not having to okay every decision they make, but giving them the ability to be the top of a decision.
I'm pretty sure that he at least had to sign off on making it a thing.
Maybe, I don't know.
I fucking hope so. I mean, Jesus.
It's very possible that he didn't have to. There are a lot of liberties that are given to certain positions that don't even have to be double checked with the branch of the president, even if it is the president who commissions their job. Well, a lot of them are responsible to the House or Congress.
Okay.
That's my point, is that it can't all be on him. A lot of times when you're part of these regulatory boards, you are commissioned by the president, but you report to Congress. And everything you do from then on is being okayed by Congress. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You can't have the buck stop only there because we technically are not a single person led government. Technically.
I agree. No, more than technically, but
no.
So how much of Trump shit's on the same animal?
I don't know. But
just because he won't put somebody in place, maybe that's
that's
his game of not putting somebody in place, because then the House doesn't have the.
I don't feel like it's beyond me saying that it would be his fault in those positions that he has decided to have an interim personal placeholder, if you will. Because
it avoids the game?
Those interim people do then still have to report directly to him because they have not been commissioned by him to answer to Congress at that point.
I have to go back to civics class for that shit.
That is the case, though.
I did hear the part of it was if he puts them up for the position, they do have to be approved by the House or the Senate.
And when they're approved by whatever body that they're being regulated by,
so he's not that dumb.
That's when they answer to them. So he is putting literal placeholders in, as in they're answering to him so that he can be in charge of it. And in that case, sure, it is his fault. Why not? And he did it to do that.
Right.
He is a minutia expert, apparently, in everything.
And nothing at the same time.
He apparently, in the past 2 or 3 days, had no clue that the person, I believe it was a part of the National Institute of Health, but had no clue that the guy that was basically heading the
NIH.
No, not the NIH. He was heading for the actual search for a coronavirus cure.
Oh, okay.
That this guy was fired, and they asked him.
There's a guy for that. Check.
That was pretty much Trump's answer. He was like, never heard of the guy. They're like, when did he get fired? They're like, they fired him today. And apparently he got.
That's the guy.
It's kind of blown out of proportion.
So wait,
but the guy
that's a bullshit story.
The guy that replaced him.
He hired. Wait, no. He hired somebody for a position, or he fired somebody from a position.
I've heard about that guy.
Which? No, tell me.
He didn't specifically fire him, but the guy was fired from that position. Trump didn't specifically fire him, but Trump had no clue.
He had been fired?
That he had been fired, or even like who this guy was. And it was
he didn't know, but that's fine because, like I said,
maybe
that is another one.
Maybe his role got blown up.
The Centers for Disease Control isn't answerable to the president; they're answerable to Congress. That's my point. And NIH is probably answerable to CDC, to be honest. Most everything that I can think of is CDC, NIH, and then everything else is a personal. It's like not a personal, sorry, a professional guild. So like the American Medical Association, right? That is not a government regulated anything. That is a professional guild. So they don't answer to anybody, but they can give opinions on and advice to. That's my point, is that I couldn't think of a reason why they would have to report straight to the president, and they shouldn't, actually. That's the type of minutia that we tried to take off of his plate in order to make it a doable job.
But
it's just that every egotist president over the course of the last 200 years has been adding more on their plate. They're like, no, I want it all.
But I mean, the question for me is that who gives them the authority to the position? For whatever, this NIH one. I mean, who gives them the authority to be the leading voice on X? I mean, we're assuming they have...
Once something has been commissioned by a sitting president, they turn it over to another body.
Right, I get that. I'm just saying,
So,
I mean, we as a public, the social contract is that we are giving the authority on this issue to that person.
The National Health Department, I would assume.
Right.
They also hire the Surgeon General.
Right. But which of those people did I vote for?
They're appointed.
By?
The president.
That's my point.
No, not all of them. No.
But that's my point, is that I don't,
some of them.
right now.
You would have to research, I guess, the governing bodies on that.
Right.
Surgeon General.
But that's,
you want me to go here one of my medical textbooks?
No. My point is that these people.
There's a chain of command up until a point.
Right.
And then that person answers to subcommittees and...
Right.
And whatever.
Right, and bureaucracy.
Yes.
But
I mean, it would
that's my point. My point is that we have all this, and it's probably really smart the way it was set up in the first place. And as it's complicated over time, it gets into,
part of the complicated
who the
nature
fuck
of
is Fauci?
Yeah, but part of the complicated nature of those things was set up on purpose in order to make it a more... all right, so the more people that have to decide on something, the more medium an answer is going to be.
Right.
Right? If everything is weighted equally, it's kind of like that, but through the game of telephone, if you will.
Right. But my point being is that...
that the more complex our society gets, the more insane that
we
process
have,
gets.
Right, we have CDC, the CDC is saying X, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. There's a bunch of personal ones to me, but it doesn't matter. CDC is saying X.
They said,
and they're making decisions. Not only are they saying X, they are making legal decisions for you and I as citizens. Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, inquisitive face Sam.
Yeah, whether or not my kid has to have this vaccine or not that vaccine.
Whether or not I'm allowed to sell a product.
Whether or not I have had my tetanus shot before I get my, passport and I'm signed off on my medical documents and whatnot.
The CDC, the FDA,
all
all of them are making legal decisions, and they're putting it
to a lesser or greater extent.
I think the CDC can make recommendations. I don't think they can. The CDC can make mandates.
No, they don't make mandates. You're correct. They make...
I think they can make recommendations.
Okay, the FDA.
The FDA may.
The FDA can make law.
They can make, I would guess...
They can make law.
No, not really.
If they just up the age to smoke to 21.
That would
federally.
be the Surgeon General.
It still has to go through
that would be
Congress
the Surgeon General.
to be voted on.
That's not
to
the
become
FDA.
a law.
It's not the FDA.
I know the legal age of smoking is 21.
Surgeon General.
I know the legal age of smoking is 21.
Okay, but
who made that?
The Surgeon General.
Did I vote for the Surgeon General?
They're appointed.
By fucking who?
Surgeon General is appointed by the President of the United States.
Well, then he can suck a dick. And did he get approved, or is it just Trump said?
I mean, I think it was the sitting.
Oh, side note, he's a black guy. Anyway.
Yeah, I think he was the sitting Surgeon General.
I don't think so.
Well, then I don't know. I guess he was approved.
But he's a black guy. The racist Trump appointed a black guy.
I mean, the token black guy.
I mean, he's Navy or something like that, so he doesn't really count as a real person. Yeah. Anyway. All right, so I want to close out. We're almost done. I want to close out with Sam posted to the group text, the WHO said that you may not be immune if you've already had it. I want to call in Max on his feelings about how the WHO works. But the WHO has said that you may or may not be immune. Yeah. I mean, it's only it's not even midnight.
You've reached the voice.
Yeah.
We've blown all the covers.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
As long as it's not.
Preset this up.
AC Slater is good. All right.
I tried. Fuck. All right. Good night, everybody. We suck.
Bye.